In today's episode of No Money, No Excuse, we're going to be taking a look at an online service that allows you to easily use the page builder Brizy to create either landing pages, pop-ups, or full websites if you want to. The beauty of this is we can then output those as HTML and we can then upload them anywhere we want. So it's a great way of being able to visually build websites, output them as HTML, and then just use them for whatever the intended purpose is. So if this has piqued your interest and you'd like to see how to do this, let me take you through the whole process right now. So I've hopped on over to Brizy.cloud, which is the home page for the cloud service. As you can see, we've got several options. We can start for free, we can watch a video, take a look at the support docs, and we can also log into our account if we create one. So once we've kind of come over here, the first thing you need to do is simply click on Start for Free. That will then take you into your dashboard where you're ready to start. So one of the things I really like about Brizy Cloud is the fact that you don't actually need to have an account. If you don't want to, you can simply go on the site, use it as a free service, and then once you've finished, you can output those files and be done with it. Then just go back and do it again the next time. This is a great platform for doing something like that, and if you want to use it for that purpose, then you can do. Obviously, if you wanted to sign up for an account, you have some added benefits. However, today, we're just going to work as a guest so I can demonstrate the whole process. So now we've hopped into the dashboard, you can see this is a very simplistic setup. We can take a look at any of the projects we have set up, basically websites or pop-ups. We can organize things, we can take a look at team members, we can take a look at our account. Now, a lot of these things are going to be locked to you because we are currently not logged in. We haven't got an account created or anything. So I would suggest creating an account because there are some added benefits, even just using the free account to create things inside here and then output them as HTML, which is what we are going to do. So generally, I would say there are some benefits to doing that. Okay, so let's say we're going to create our first project. We're going to click and we can then choose what type of project we want to create. Create website and landing pages or pop-ups and alerts. So we're going to say we're going to create a website or landing page. I'm going to click on that. That will now create our project for us, at which point we can rename this. Let's call this WPTuts, so it makes some sense to us. And you can see we have a couple of options. We've got Edit Project. We've got little dots in the corner that says we can publish it, we can view leads, or we can delete it. And we can also take a look by clicking on this icon by here because we're not going to see anything right now because currently we haven't created anything. But when you want to, and you want to just check the sites out, you could come into this dashboard, click, and take a preview of the site. Okay, so once we've done that, we're then ready to go in and edit the project. So we'll click on Edit Project. That will open up the standard Brizy editor. Now, if you ever used Brizy before in any capacity, this is all going to feel very, very familiar. All the key things are inside here. There are some slight differences because we are working independent of WordPress, so you're not going to have the normal WordPress things for creating menus and so on. So there are some differences, and we'll take a look at some of those as we go through this project. However, most of it is going to be exactly the same as what you're used to if you've used Brizy before. Now, if you're new to Brizy, let me just give you a very quick overview of the interface and where things are kind of laid out. On the left-hand side, we've got this little strip section, which allows us to do most of the key things when it comes to building pages. We can click the first option, which is Add Elements. Now, elements are basically the same as widgets when you're talking about things like, sort of Elementor and things like that. It's just the building block elements of any particular section of your site. So text, buttons, icons, headers, those kinds of things. Next up, we've then got the Reorder Block section, and this will show you the hierarchy of your page, each of the different block elements, which we could then rearrange and move things around. And this will become apparent once we start taking a look at how you build a page. Then you've got the global styling. So you can see we've got a range of different predefined styles, and styles basically are made up of colors and text, and then you could apply different styling very quickly and easy by choosing a different style, and then throughout the page that you're working on, all those things will change accordingly. If we take a look at the bottom, then we've got mobile view, which allows us to switch between the different views. So we've got desktop, tablet, and mobile. This is just your kind of view to check exactly what your site's going to look like across all different kinds of devices. We've then got the settings option, which will kind of take us into a settings panel where we can do things like create pages and things like that. And we'll take a look at that as we go through this project. Then finally, at the bottom, we've got the More option, which allows us to see more about Brizy, take a look at the shortcuts, and go back to our dashboard. On the right-hand side, we've then got a little sort of pop-out menu that gives us 5 different options. We can show or hide hidden elements. We can undo and we can redo. we can preview the page that we're currently working with, and we can update the page or publish the page depending upon whether it's a new page or a page you're already working on. Then in the center, we've got the Start Building Your Page section. If we click to open this up, this gives us the sort of browser preview section that allows us to see various different components. You can see we've got 4 sections across the top. We've got layouts, we've got blocks, saved blocks, and global blocks. Now, with a free account, you are going to be limited to what you can use. You can see anything that's got this pro in the corner, you need to have a paid account to be able to use any of those. Anything that doesn't have pro in the corner, you're free to use. So take a look at these. There are a couple of pre-built pages, and it's up to you if you want to use these as a starting point. But obviously, if you're paying, you get better sort of selections. You get an entire group of pages that are all formed around one design. So, for example, we take a look at this one, open it out, you can see there are 7 different page types inside here: home pages, contact pages, and so on. If you take a look then on the main section, you can see it'll scroll through and show us details about that particular page. Like I say, this is pretty limited for the free version. Blocks, on the other hand, are the different sections of a page. So things like the hero, features, contact, headers, footers, and so on. Now, a lot of this is going to be locked away behind a paywall, but you can still use some of these as starting points, or you can just build it from scratch yourself. If we take a look on the left-hand side, you can see all these different elements are split into light and dark models. So if we click on the dark version, you can see all those designs are just switched over to a dark version. So you can easily choose all light, all dark, or mix and match to get a nice set of contrast throughout your site. If you take a look at the top, then you've got 2 different lots of blocks. We've got Kit 1, which is the original blocks that shipped when Brizy was kind of originally released. So these are slightly older. And again, you can see tons of different options inside there, and again they have a light and dark version available. Now, a lot of these, if not all of these ones under Kit 1, are all going to be freely available to you because they are older and they're not locked behind that pro paywall. However, Kit 2, you can see there are a lot of options in here, but there are still quite a few that are locked behind that pro paywall. So there are some limitations, but for what you're getting for absolutely free, and if you're comfortable or you get comfortable working with Brizy, that will not be a limitation to you. Then finally, on the left-hand side, we've got categories, and this is where each of these different design are broken up into various different sections. So for example, if you want the hero, you can see this now shows us only the hero section in the light option under Kit 2. If you want to, you can easily start typing in and search for something if you know what you're looking for. But as you can see, it's a nice visual way of looking through. And the one thing that Brizy definitely has over a lot of the other page builders out there is some incredibly pro designs. These are great starting points if you want to use these to start building a site for yourself. So let's just take a look at creating something. Now, you'll see if we come into things like headers, everything inside there is locked behind that paywall. Same goes with the footers, all locked behind a paywall. But like I say, you can create a lot of this yourself. And because we're going to be creating a static site to end up with anyway, this is not dynamic, it doesn't really matter too much. You can easily just build things up yourself. So let's just take a look at how easy it is to quickly piece some things together to create a typical landing page kind of setup. So first of all, let's choose the hero, and let's just go with something. We'll say we're working on an app or something. So we'll take a look at this option. We'll click on it, and you can see that loads it in, and we've got everything set up now, pulled in to our design. Now we can easily come into the options on the left-hand side and change any of these. So you can see once we change to a different set of options, all the colors will now change, the fonts will change, referencing these options on the left-hand panel under styling. So you can easily come through, choose a range of different options till you can find something you like, or you can just use these as a starting point, and then you can easily come in and change things. So if you don't want this pink kind of background, you can click and change that color to something completely different. So you can see it's super simple to come in and start tweaking these to get what you want and not be reliant upon these color options. And then anywhere that that particular color is referenced in a design will update. The same goes things like the text. So paragraphs, for example, you can click and open that up, and we can then change those based upon the device that they're being viewed on. So we can choose the different fonts, we can add new fonts, adjust the sizing, the weight, line height, and so on. So like I say, this is not a tutorial on how to use Brizy. This is more a case of just showing you the kinds of things that you can do, what are available to you, even in this free version. So with that being said, we've now created our first header section, so we can come back in and we can say we want to add an element, and we can start building things ourselves, or we can come back down and start adding extra blocks in. So let's just say we wanted to create something like a call to action. Let's take a look through there and see if we can find something we think is quite nice. Let's choose a dark option this time so we can have some contrast, and we'll go for something like this. Click, and you can see that's automatically now being added in. And again, anything that's been set up as part of these styles picks up the color. So it's green for the button. We may want to change that, so we could come back over to the styling, find that green color, click, and change it for something else. So you can see both those buttons now will update based upon the selection of colors that we're using as part of this. So it's a really intuitive way of working inside this editor. Okay, so we'll say that we want to put one more section in. So we're going to add a new block, and this time we're just going to put in some testimonials. We want to go for light again, and we're just going to say, I kind of like the look of this one. So we're going to click to add this one in, and you can see there's our testimonial blocks. And again, everything is fully editable. If we don't want to use the global styles, we can, if we want to, come in and edit anything inside here independently. So you can see we can click on there, we can change the color of that, and that now is updated independent of those colors inside the styling options. So it's a really intuitive way of working. So once we've got everything done, we can click on update or publish, depending upon, like I say, whether this is going to be, a page you continue to work on or a new page. So we'll click update. And now if we want to, we can preview this page. We'll click on the preview option. That will then load all those assets into our temporary domain, and we can see exactly how everything looks on the page. Then all we're going to do, close that back down, come back in and continue editing our page. So let's just say that we've created our page now and we're ready to create another page because we want to create a site as opposed to a landing page. It's easy to do. All we need to do is come back into our settings section, and from there you can see we've got assets, menus, and settings. Currently we're looking at the assets menu, and so far you can see we've only got the home page. Gives us the permalink, tells us we're currently editing it. Let's just add a new page in. And from there, we can now do a couple of things. Let's just hit the settings, and we're going to change this. We're going to just say this is our contact. And the same for the permalink, we'll just change that to contact. And if we want to drop in some SEO information, a description, we can do that from here as well. We click on save though. That's created our second page. And now we can click to edit this page. So we'll leave this section and we'll come over then back into the Brizy editor, and we've got another new page. So we can now go through exactly the same process of going through and just setting everything up. So we're going to keep this really super simple. We're just going to drop in a contact section. So we'll just find something like this will look good. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about creating something particularly unique. Hit update, and we've now created our page. Problem is, how do we link to it? We don't have any menu structure. We have nothing going on. So how do we do that? It's very simple. What we're going to do is we need to add in a new section. So what we're going to do is we're going to say add a new block. We're going to say add a blank block this time, as opposed to choosing one that's predefined layouts. Reason we're doing that is because we don't have access to those headers and footers in the free version. So next thing we're going to do is click to reorder those. So we can put what's going to be our menu section at the top. And then we can just come in and we can start editing this. Now you can visually edit the different paddings and margins and so on if you want to. Or you can come over to the little flyout in the top right hand corner, and then you can edit things inside here. So we're going to come in and say settings, for example, and in there you can see we can now control things like the height, and we can click to expand that. We're going to say custom on there, and we're going to set this to about 60, 70 pixels, somewhere in there. It's going to take effect as we go through and make changes. We can choose where the content's going to sit, whether it's top, middle, or bottom. We're going to leave that set to the middle. If we click on more settings, this comes in and allows us to adjust any padding and margins and so on to this particular element. So we can easily just get rid of those spacing at the top and bottom if we want to, or we can set whatever values we want. And obviously you can come back in and tweak this as many times as you need to. So with that being done, we now need to drop in the menu. And this is, we're going to come over to our widgets this time, so our elements. We'll come into there and we're just going to type in menu. We can drag and drop that menu into that area, and you can see now it resizes accordingly. And now what we can do is we can start setting things up. So the first thing I want to do is set this to be a global header section. Now to do that is super simple. All we need to do is come up to the section, click to expand the little pop-up menu, and then the first option is the block option. I'm going to click on that, and there's a little switch that says make it global. And there we go. We've now made a global header. But what exactly does that even mean? Well, let's just update this page. Let's just go back now and take a look at our home page. So we're going to edit our home page, and because we made it global, well, it's not there. Well, don't worry, because all it really means is we just need to add it in, and then any changes we make to one of these will change on everything because it's a global template. So we're going to click to add a new item in, come to our global blocks section at the top, click on there, and you can see any menus we may have created previously will all be set up inside here. So I'm going to choose this option, and then I'm just going to come into the reorder blocks. We're going to reposition that right at the top, and there's our header section. Now, obviously, you'd spend more time doing this and making sure that everything looks great. This is more a demonstration of how to use it, not a case of how to make things look good. So now that we've gone through the whole process of creating our landing page or website, whatever you wanted to create, now let's take a look at how we can download that zip file with all those assets in there, and then we're ready to upload this wherever we want to host it, and then carry on using it as a HTML site without all that unnecessary code that WordPress would bring to it if we did a very similar thing using that platform. To output the HTML, what we need to do is simply come back into our dashboard. So we're going to come out of this and go back to our dashboard. So providing our site is all set up, configured, and done everything we want, we're now ready to actually go out and output it. So we're going to click on these little three arrows, and we're going to come to Publish. From there, we're given a range of options. We can choose custom domains and so on, but what we are interested in is this final option, which is the export HTML. That just means we can export it, we can upload it to our own hosting account under our own domain, and we've got our site there. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that providing you have an account, even a free account as part of Brizy Cloud, you can log back into your account at any point, make changes to the site, all as it is inside your Brizy Cloud, export that HTML again, and then you can simply upload that to its original location, overwrite any files, and your changes are in place. Now, obviously, if you were using Brizy Cloud, you could bypass that and you can basically push your site over to your hosted domain, but this is beyond what we're going to do as part of this free option. Okay, so all we need to do is click on down low where it says export HTML. That will go through, prepare everything for us. This can take a couple of minutes, but once it's prepared the HTML, we'll have the option then to download it. And there we go, that's gone through, downloaded everything, and it even gives us instructions on how to actually upload this and do everything else we need. If we open up the Brizy zip, we can see inside the zip folder, we've got our 2 pages. Obviously, if you created more, you'd have more inside there. If you open up the assets, then we've got all the assets, CSS files, JavaScript files, and then we've got the images folder with all the images. Now, obviously, you'd replace all the images with your own images and not be using ones that have already been sort of included as part of the designs. But apart from that, everything is in place, ready for you to upload and start having your HTML-based site all built inside Brizy Cloud on your own server, doing your own thing. So that's how we can use Brizy Cloud to create landing pages, to create websites, and then we can output those as HTML files, upload them, and host them wherever we want. Why would you want to do it? Well, you're getting the beauty of being able to use a very simple page builder, some fantastic starter templates if you don't have a design inspiration, plus you can have all of those benefits without the need for installing a platform like WordPress. I think it's a win-win-win situation. Now, speaking of Brizy Cloud, if you've enjoyed using this and you think it's something you use on a regular basis, consider supporting it by taking out a subscription. It's always worth supporting things that you use if you're financially gaining from them. Anyway, the applicable links are in the description below. Check those out if you want to find out more information. And speaking of more information, if you want to get more videos or more content and learn more about WordPress, web design, and all those kinds of good things, check out the videos you can see on screen right now. They're going to get you up to speed with tons of great techniques. As always, my name's been Paul C. This has been WPTuts, and until next time, take care.